mercilessly attacked by the Spanish Armada. The Spanish Armada eventually was backed up by the French and the Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
So we was boat jumping from this portion of Mexico going to support the islands. And that's why you see the islanders with varying different tribal makeups, because we had to go help them. This is where we had our resorts, right? So Big Mama's on the mainland would trade delicacies with the people from the islands. We would always visit. They cut us off from each other by controlling the water. They took control of the seas first, around the borderlands. Once they took control of the seas, they started first annexing the islands and claiming the islands as the territory under the doctrine of discovery. When they started getting pummeled, they sent the voyage around South America. And that's how the Califia Queens, caught without her kings, got assaulted and her castle got pummeled by the Spanish Armada. And then that we didn't know what hit us.
Damn. So you ever seen the movie Pirates of the Caribbean?
That's about the Spanish. Puerto Rico was set up as a port city, and it was where all of the thieves kept their wealth. That's why it's called the rich port, because all of the wealth that they was stealing from the tribes, they had to take it to Puerto Rico to be inventoried before they ship it to Europe. And the pirates, honor among thieves, that's why they set up cannons all around Puerto Rico for defensive measure.
Okay. We have South America here.
Yeah. So Brazil, being the first to assimilate the pale nations of Europe and make them become a distinctly different people than they was when they came. So we got a term called Brazilianization, which is a reflection of the drop of blood doctrine being assimilated with the least amount of resistance from the nomadic peoples, or the organic peoples, I should say. And that's why the Brazilians look different than the rest of the tribe, because they've assimilated.
Okay. I think I asked you this before with the, this we're going to do like a real dope history lesson, y'all. There was a book when rocks cry out, and I believe he said that Jerusalem was the real Jerusalem was in Peru. You ever heard that before?
Look, Jerusalem is made up to push the Hebrew doctrine on us. Jerusalem only means city of peace. Wherever you seen the metropolis at was a Jerusalem, a city of peace. They just trying to make it seem like it's some uniquely special shit. And if you go back to 1945, when they established the United Nations, 1948 is when they finally did their first act as a concerted United Nations, when they seized that land on the Gaza Bank and the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. But in the meeting between 45 and 48, they had 10 different locations that they was going to declare to be the state of Israel, right? With the city of Jerusalem as its capital. They settled on the city over there in the Middle East because they have ancient practices, right, built on top of ancient practices all in that area. And then they can use that as the justification for the false narrative of religious doctrine. That don't work on me. So what they're telling you when they talk about a city of peace is any city that wasn't in a state of war, because all of our cities is currently in a state of war. And we know this because all our cities have some stuff called police, which is slave catchers that worked for the empire, that ain't turning our empire. And they were the ones catching the braves and taking them as hostages to prevent them becoming chiefs.
Right. Yeah, we got Antarctica Over here, huh? This is the
Yeah.
this is what everybody talk about, Antarctica. Okay. Rod, is there any ancient texts that deal with Antarctica or the land over there?
Yep.
What's
The Hindus have a series of writings on the landmass, but under the ice, it would be Tartaria. It's actually called Tartarus in the Bible. In the book of Enoch, it's called Tartarus, and the book of Enoch gives you the terrain that's exactly the terrain under the ice, and it tell you it's the coldest desert in the world.
right? Wow. 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 Just going over some land here. Wow. Okay. We got Asia, we got Russia.
So
Yeah.
what you're looking at now, you're looking at it from what we would call an Anunnaki. Do you see where the separation is between so-called Africa and the Middle East?
You breaking up, Rod. You talking about he said
that part right there.
Yeah.
Everything east of that except for was Pakistan and India. Pakistan and India used to be called East Ethiopia. And Ethiopia means ether utopian. It goes back to something called Black root science.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes to some documents. So this was the land of Enki.
Ethiopia.
Right?
All of this.
Those
here.
big. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everything north of India, Europe, and Asia is the land, and Australia. And it goes down to the Far East to Australia. That was all ISIS's territory or Inanna's territory by the division of the three Anunnakis of the earth. Then you had the Americas, which was the land of Tahuti, the great thunderbird, Kukulkan, Quetzalcoatl, right? But when you start reading those documents and you find out, you know, the story of the Arabs say I thought he crashed and flew east and landed in the land of the hairy barbarian. He's talking about the original inhabitants that set up Egypt. So when you zoom in, you will see that Nile River is an artificial construct. It's not original over there. Right. It was once the source of the fertile nature of what's now called the Sahara Desert. But they engineered the Nile River to not run into the desert because they had to fill in the Mediterranean bit bigger because of Mount Vesuvius.
Right. Man. Yeah, this is that was interesting right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't intend to go into no history lesson around the world.
Wow, man. That was yeah, and the thing about it, Rod, is that the maps, we don't even know how accurate the maps we got are. Like,
do a layover with the moon. You do a layover with the moon because the moon is reflecting the map of the earth.
Oh, the moon?
The moon is the tech. Yeah, so the moon is supposed to be able to be used to tell you if it's sunken lands. The sunken lands show up in the moon. They got the oldest reflection of the earth. It's seared in there for a reason.
Wow. We're going to get to two more questions that we're going to get out of here. Let's get to a super chat question. Hold up. Well, let me get to this one. What Rod, I think she's trying to say, what does Rod think about suicide?
Suicide resets you in the game. Take you back until you can figure out why you keep abandoning your post. So what actually the reason people commit suicide is part of the shut off matrix in the game. The game is designed that if you can't handle the pressure, that it ejects you from the game. And so you have to leave a clue behind for somebody to know that there was an issue here that needed to be studied so that we can find out how to exist longer within the parameters of the game. Most of us don't know. Nobody don't ever tell us when we little. We know as you grow up, life's supposed to have ups and downs. Sometimes this shit supposed to get so hard you don't even want to be here no more. But you're supposed to work your way through it, and that's when the better days come. But it comes from not teaching people that life's supposed to get difficult, because the difficult times is the test for all of the easy times that you had before it. You was studying. Right. When you turn into a university, it hit different.
All right, let's get to the next question. Rod, can you explain how to reclaim family land if the corporation is defunct? Are land deeds contracts null and void?
The only thing they're going to be good for is what you call a trace record. The trace record is because, remember, the contract was canceled because they never honored the treaty. All of the treaties was all made up and predicated up on fraud, a constructed fraud. The constructed fraud was they declared $5 Indians chiefs and signed treaties as if they was with us. And when we seen in the South, a lot of us got trapped into what we call blind treaty agreements by not knowing the what we call the Queen's language, and not knowing the legalese, and not knowing that they're not the same. So a lot of them got trapped into signing treaties that they knew didn't have a fucking clue what they were signing, which was fraud. So when all of the contracts is canceled, when everything shut down and come back online, it'll be a path clearly to find out where your family's shit at. Because the corporation is defunct. It's a wrap. Okay, so when you got two polarities to a magnet, it creates a field. If it's laying flat, the field looks like the top of an apple, and it goes around, and the bottom of it looks the same. This is called a torus field or a torsion field. It's because of the pole in the center is it's projecting the field. Everything got a field. In the earth, it's called the atmosphere, but in the person, it's called an aura. And they are made in the torsion field. The heart chakra is in line with the crown chakra in order to produce a torsion field that's much bigger than the torsion field of your heart chakra being in alignment with your root chakra. When you have all of them in alignment, it makes your torsion field even bigger. So your toric field much is 60 feet around you. And when you wake fully into consciousness and your mitochondrial is putting out maximum output, which means that you're getting maximum information from the DEA, then you can reach up to 50 miles with your auric field. And this is why we are connected. To us before 1492, but because of the experience, a wise man will talk to the experience, and they will use terms that changes the psychological dynamic that's imposed on you by an oppressor. So don't get caught up and think that when Malachi speak about Nubians and Sabians, that he's excluding Hamites and Hittites. That's not what he's doing. He's going inside of the psyche, pulling the information out, so you can use it as a perspective of view to see what you face with. A lot of these terms, Asiatic, those terms mean something to specific people from specific bloodlines more than they do to the collective. It's called light code language. It's written like that for a reason. So if you want to know what the Honorable Minister Farrakhan mean when he says Asiatic black man, read the literature. They tell you what they mean. But it's not going to mean the same thing for me.
No, yeah, that's what I said. That's what I say too. Hey, Roy, I like how you put that, Roy. I like how you answer that question. Because, like I say, Bible taught that the Asiatic black man is the Hindus, the blacks, dark skinned Hindus. That's what Bible taught us. So, and it's not us. We're not Asiatic black man. Now we do. Some of us do got Asiatic black man in us because these dark skinned Moors or Asiatic black man came over here and mixed in with some of us. That's why all of us don't got this real nappy.
You
Nappy
remember, Elder?
mm-hmm.
You remember when I said go back and look at the wars that Rome fought, so you will know who they was taking as captives.
That's right.
It's a steady flow of information of who they was fighting the whole time while they was getting ready to come over here.
Mm-hmm.
They were fighting the Mongols, they were fighting the Huns, and they were fighting the Vedics, what the Nuwabians call Asiatic black man, the Hindu. Those are your Aryan race, those Enlil kids, but from a different wife than his wicked wife.
Go ahead.
Right? So they was blessed with certain features in the face, but Enlil put his kids over Inky kids who's known in India as Dravidians, untouchable. Mm-hmm. They got afros, look like the Jacksons in the 70s.
That's right.
Right. So those were Inky kids, right? And that was called Eastern Ethiopia. Now this is where we start going into the difference Asiatic black man.
Okay.
Because the Dravidian was there before it was Asia.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And so before it was Asia, you had big nose, big lip, Afro wearing people over there. They still there.
Yeah,
you can still look them up on.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you can still look them up on the internet. They're not hard to find.
Yeah.
But then the people who was given the title Aryan noble, they was placed in the palaces as the rulers. And because of the worship gene, they all stay in their place. That's an Anunnaki trait. If you ascribe a family function, it'll do that family function in the family for life, even if it's rat catchers.
Right. Go ahead. Neutral rat.
All right. Yeah, but whatever it is, the family gonna always. That's what their caste system is predicated upon. That idea. They changed it when they brought it to America. The caste system was predicated upon the brown paper bag test that kept us out of the institutions where they was exchanging all of this information that we now putting out in the public domain. They didn't just find this stuff out yesterday. They been knew this stuff. They knew they was going to do it before they done it because they wrote that they was going to do it before they done it. And then they said, don't believe it. They followed step by step exactly how they wrote it to get it done, but they tell us, don't believe it. It's a conspiracy theory.
Right.
do with avoiding hostile weather patterns and what they call jet streams. In certain planes, you can't get caught in certain environments in the atmosphere because it'll send you straight to the earth.
Turbulence, all of that.
Right. So most of us don't know about all of that part of flying. So we gonna run our mouth and be talking about, see, in the plane, and man, there's so much shit going to flying the plane. That shit ain't no motherfucker. Why you think everybody ain't lined up to be no goddamn pilot? It take a special kind of motherfucker to fly planes.
Yeah, you do have to be. I was staying with somebody who was getting his pilot's license, and it's technical. So you got to know everything. Like,
look, they directing traffic in the air. This like trying to tell bullets where to go in real time.
Right.
Serious. The only thing they trying to make sure is this plane and that plane is not on the cross trajectory with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you can pull up the aerial map and see what the air traffic over the United States alone look like, let alone around the world. So now you the air traffic controller, you got to direct that shit. So it might seem like it's easier to fly from New York to Morocco, but they're going to take you to Spain first or Italy first.
Right.
Right? Because it's the flow of traffic in the air. It's the same with the highways. Motherfuckers just don't cut across the woods to go where they're going. They follow the road. It's just that it's a road in the sky that we can't see with the naked eye.
Yeah.
It's like it's a river running in the atmosphere.
Almost like what Morpheus said. Who told you it's air? It just might be a lighter river.
Look, when the grid flip, we're gonna go to breathing the double oxygen molecule of the ozone. Ozone is gonna crush closer to the earth. The lower atmosphere is gonna move closer to the earth. And the oxygen that we breathe, we're gonna be breathing a double oxygen molecule, ozone. It's going to change the way that we process metals in our biological systems.
So that's going to be when we flip back and start changing colors, start de-rusting.
Yeah. So right now with soft metals, the soft metals is the dominant metals based on how our DNA was programmed when the Anunnaki interfered with it. We used to be on platinum group metals only. Then the system that your body could become your spaceship, your Merkaba.
Right.
Right. And if they want to stop you from using your Merkaba, they have to switch the metals that you use because you have too much waste product generated in order to harness enough energy to raise up to that level of frequency.
That's what the food,
yeah, the food, the toxins in the food, congesting the liver. Most of the food that we eat now with all those pesticides and shit, it's just to fuck the liver up. So once they fuck the liver up, you're going to have high blood pressure, diabetes, intestinal problems. Then that's going to cause impurities to build up in the blood that's going to strangle the brain of oxygen slowly. And then they're going to tell you got Alzheimer's or dementia. It's orchestrated. Everything was weaponized against us from motherfucking the first day of school, goddamn it, when they put this motherfucking lights in the delivery room to blind the shit out your ass when you're born, to shock your visual cortex. That's in order to stimulate amnesia.
So
then they slap you in the ass so that you'll fall into instant trauma. And they don't give you immediately to the mama. They give you to somebody to stick a bottle in your mouth. So now you can't even sync to the mother. She can't sync to the baby. And then they wonder why these women got postpartum depression.
Because they never made
look, when I came out my mom, I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Where the doulas? I'm mad than a motherfucker. I was born with an attitude. This shit didn't look right. I'm used to, when I be born, I'm used to being born with a bunch of ladies in grass skirts with no top on. By candlelight. I don't know nothing about these motherfuckers with this motherfucking white suits and shit. Who is these motherfuckers?
Fluorescent light.
With these bright ass goddamn spotlights. I ain't no stage motherfucker. I'm not an actor.
Shit, that's hilarious. That's real though.
And they act like they don't know what they're doing.
Oh, no,
that's the part that pisses me off, because when you say something, they'll say something like the doctors don't know what the doctors don't believe that. The doctors know what the fuck they doing.
Right. That's why I make it so hard to get that percentage.
It's basic common sense. Massive shock to the visual cortex causes amnesia.
That's the first thing you see.
First thing you see when you come out is a bunch of goddamn spotlights. And then them bright ass white jackets reflecting the spotlight even more.
Right into your soul, because that's the first time your soul sees the world, right?
Yeah, you know, what the fuck is this shit? I just was doing flips on my mama's stomach and I come out here to this shit. This shit gotta get fixed. I knew that out the gate. This shit gotta get fixed. I don't know what this. And then I'm listening to my mama telling my auntie, you gotta get the baby out of here before they kill him. I'm like, why the fuck they want to kill me? I just got here. They knew who I was. I didn't.
Yo, let's talk about how you was talking about that amnesia. They still do it in the, well, not anymore, not as much. But I remember like in the 90s, early 2000s, where they used to have them little broadcasts where it made you sit through like 30, 45 seconds, almost a minute of the colors changing and the loud sounds. Was that make you forget certain things?
That's not necessarily amnesia. Sometimes that's to stimulate the same part of your psyche that the psychotropics stimulate. The peyote and the mushrooms, psilocybins, those color patterns, they call them psychedelic color patterns.
Right.
Right. So they mimic having the psychic trip without the psychic trip. And then if you put them under the strobing lights, and that's to stimulate the visual cortex as if you was having a psychic psilocybin or toadstool peyote trip. So sometimes they infuse them with a frequency or energy to directly contact your higher self, telling you, hey, soldier, we need you to wake up, but we can't tell nobody. Your subconscious already know, your higher self already know what the message means. Right? And it had to wait for you to get the message. Your conscious mind don't, it's like, what's the fuck going on? What's, and then your subconscious is about to take over and he don't know it. They call that being possessed. You being possessed by yourself. That's your Zumbe. But they make you think that it's the undead, the zombie, the motherfucker that came back from the dead. Your higher self coming through your lower self is actually resurrecting you from a state of death to a state of life, from a straw man to an actualized being.
Yeah,
that's the metaphysics of it all.
Yeah, that connects on multiple levels, even from studying the laws that I'm studying. It makes sense. It's like a rebirth on multiple levels.
Yeah, so everything they did, they weaponized against us, but we just fortunate enough to have enough of us around to work together in secret to overcome the obstacle in the open. We had to follow them secret squirrel motherfuckers around with pooper scoopers and examine their shit.
Yeah, your analogies get me every time.
Hey, that helps motherfuckers learn faster too. Make that shit stick.
Huh?
That makes your motherfucker learn faster. Make that shit stick like Velcro.
I just was telling somebody. I said, if you give somebody some analogies, you can. Because we was just talking about debates. I said the best way to win a debate is if you can make it. You can make an analogy to where they understand it, because then they'll start to be like, you know what, you're right about that. Because you make them feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Get them to laugh and get them to make it real to them. Then you can kind of take over that.
Right, because you're involved in more parts of the psyche than just one.
Right.
The best teaching method involves the most of your senses. Right, so when you incorporate multiple learning styles into a teaching method, then it can reach more people effectively.
Mm-hmm. That's real. Okay, so there's a couple. I'm gonna sprinkle some of these questions in here because they drop them in here.
Mm-hmm.
Young Key 333 said, "I find a lot of feathers on the ground randomly. What does that mean?"
Your spirit messages. Look up the feathers and the feather colors. Whatever in the collective consciousness is the meaning of it. So you look at the colors, like blue jay feathers. You might be about to win a court case.
Justice.
Yeah. A cardinal feather, message from the other side. You get a
spiritual realm, right?
yeah. So when you start collecting your feathers, you start being able to read them for what they are. You start being there. It's like reading a book. You will receive a series of feathers with different patterns and colors for you to read. Then you know what the spirit message is from the Great Spirit.
That's fine. Okay, here we go. Somebody says, is it a meaning to be born with a purple tint? Okay,
that's not uncommon for us. Remember, we wasn't always copper and iron based. We used to be copper and magnesium based. And we used to process platinum group metals instead of soft metals. The DNA program was synced to the soft metals to process, which causes the negative side effects. Right? But the coloring pigmentation is altered. The melanin interacting in the keratin in the skin, causing the brown color, is the rusting of the iron. Right? When you was magnesium and copper, the oxide, magnesium oxide, copper oxide pigmentation is green. And your blood looked like chlorophyll.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to bring me to one point, the movie Avatar, the first one. You know, they're getting ready to drop the second one.
Right, with the blue people.
With the blue. And I'm of the mind that was basically a documentary of us, of our people.
It is.
Wars, was it not? Because you, at the end of it, you saw how they brought everybody, all the tribes from all over to come fight.
Yeah.
Right. So, but my biggest takeaway was in that movie. There was multiple takeaways, but one was getting us away from that center point of energy, that big tree.
Iwas. That tree was called Iwas in the movie.
Iwas, yes. Getting us.
Go back to Egypt and find out who Iwas was. Go back to Crowley.
Okay. Oh yeah. Before I forget, Carol Barn. What was that book? So I can type that in there and tell people to check that out too.
Melanin: Chemical Keys to Black Greatness by Dr. Carol Byrne.
Chemical Keys to Black Greatness. Somebody drop that in there for me, and I'll pin it. But yeah, so yeah, that tree that always stuck out with me. So much so to the point that I've done research, like try to find a map and try to identify where that tree was, because in that they made a direct emphasis.
I can tell you where it was at. It was in South Africa.
South Africa.
That's why there's hardly any trees left over there. They cut them down first. It was not far from where Credo Mutwa lives. It was called the Great Tree of Life. You could upload and download your consciousness. Really what it would do, if you was born in the 3D and you touch the tree will read your DNA and feed back the information to your conscious mind, where you can understand who you was in past lives. That's what they was doing in the movie.
It was like our Akashic records.
Yeah. But when they cut the tree down, we have what you call the energy signature of the tree, a phantom tree.
Like a phantom limb.
Yeah. The tree's still present. But now it's dissipated energy in the atmosphere. We have to read it from a telepathic perspective with the earth. Right?
That's
when you start reliving that shit. And that's not the good part. That's not the good part. Because when you realize that some of the decisions you had to make for the betterment of the whole looked very horrible at the time you was making them, and nobody wouldn't understand it unless they seen the outcome today. The only way you would understand it. So that's why in Operation Looking Glass, they can't escape the singularity. Right? The same with Nostradamus and the psychics, they can't escape the singularity. Everything converged here and now. So when the Christians say everything working together for the greatest good, this is what they're talking about. No, the good shit and the bad shit. The right shit and the wrong shit. Use all that shit in order to clean up the dirt.
Facts. Yeah, because I'm man, I already feel it's time. So much so I keep telling people it's time. And it almost becomes harder and harder for me to even like engage in the daily, their system at all. Like every day it gets harder and harder. So I've never been one to work a job. I always knew I was going to, be running my own thing. That was just the mindset I had since a kid. But just to see the system like really crumbling around us, but you see the distractions are only getting stronger and stronger. They're trying to pull out as many stops as they can. Can you talk on that a little bit?
Well, they're going to always send some low-rank, low-level, poorly educated imbeciles to confront you, right? And it's because it's your responsibility in your God form, recognizing who you is, to let them motherfuckers say what they want to say and continue doing what the fuck you was going to do, right? I'm on here giving away free information on a motherfucking university level or higher.
Nah.
And motherfuckers want to find reasons to tear me down. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to keep giving this information out. And if you got a problem with it, you got a right to have a problem with it, and I have a right to not give a fuck. So I already know it come with the territory. You're going to be falsely accused. You're going to be slandered. You're going to be talked about. You're going to be called names. You're going to be the outcast because everybody going to be mad because you're the one that did it. They wanted to be the one to do the stuff that you did, but they didn't have the ambition that you had. So expect all that. This is what my mama told me. She said, expect all that. Because in the Bible, they talked about Jesus. So if they talk about Jesus, what make you think they're not going to talk about you? Right? Because they believe that Jesus to be their God.
Right.
So if they're going to abuse their own God, what much fuck you make them think about our gods? They don't give a fuck about us. Right? So the ones of us who know who we are, as DMX say, recognize that they don't know who we be. But real recognize real, and we know who look familiar.
Right.
Right? And they say, yeah, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. You ain't catch Jay, did you? And yay, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil.
Damn.
Right? Why? Because Rod and his staff is on the job. They done fucked up now.
Damn. See, that's that connection that I'm talking about.
See, all the time they thinking that the Rod and the staff is the crook and the flail, but the Rod is a man and the staff is the support system.
Yea, though I walk through the valley. Oh my.
And again, I say yay is right.
Thanks. Thanks.
So we're going to take our yays and we're going to put down their nays. That's what we're going to do.
Right.
Override their authority from a superior position of right, telling the truth, challenging their bullshit in front of their face, not behind their back. We ain't covering nothing up. We ain't running. We ain't ducking, and we ain't hiding. Motherfucker, we just telling you how it's going to be as we lay down the law on the land, air, and the motherfucking water.
Right on, bro.
Restore the sisters back to righteousness. Bring this motherfucker back to paradise and get you parasites the fuck out the way. One way or another motherfucker another.
See you. Yes, sir. That's real.
That's why I say Kyrie Irving said what he needed to say. See, y'all be taking everything and y'all don't realize that sometimes you got to move back in chess in order to go forward.
You don't see it like that though. Right in the moment, you're not seeing the bigger picture unless you're literally on that level. Like,
because everybody got to see the after the fact. Hindsight is 20/20.
Mm-hmm.
Foresight is myopic. It's short. You can't see very far in front of you. So you have to look back in order to see forward. That's the only way to see further.
Right.
Because ain't nothing new under the sun.
Kyrie has been dropping for the couple years, really just kind of putting info out there about us being the
Carol Burns is spelled B-A-R-N-E-S.
BAR.
B-A-R-N-E-S.
Okay, good.
Kelly wrote Burns.
But yeah, like, and it's kind of ironic. Like, I just remember because I've been out doing some research on the Hitler, on Hitler and Third Reich. They're, you know, the true what they was really doing back then.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he's recorded is saying now if it's true or not, but I've seen it in multiple books where it says basically World War in where the world finds true Jews. Now we have somebody out here kind of, we've had people in the past, but we've never had somebody who's had the type of influence that Ye has. I mean, we've had even an NBA player in the past called him out on the Sharif Muhammad, I think. And he got kicked out. He was like dropping 20 points.
But, remember Craig Hodges?
Craig Hodges, that's him. That's what I'm talking about. But he changed his name, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, to his Muslim name. I can't remember what it was right now, but yeah.
Then you had the other brother, Raouf.
That's what I'm talking about, Raouf, the 3-point champion that was just dropping like 20 a night, and then he got put out the league. Hitler, the Black Magician.
Mm-hmm. Look, Adolf Hitler was a bad motherfucker. Adolf Hitler worked his way up from the dirt. Same way Joseph Stalin. No, Vladimir Lenin. Lenin worked his way up from the dirt. He studied his way to greatness. When you read the story, everybody say all he was doing was studying the problems of his country. The whole communist regime was funded by America the whole time. The Cold War, because they wasn't gonna never bomb on each other because America was bankrolling Russia the whole time.
Well, really Britain, but yeah.
The inmates, they're gonna have to get what you call a cutout. A cutout is to keep them from recidivism. It is to reorganize their life, and most of them won't be going back to their old community because they're gonna have to start over, and they're gonna have to be reoriented into society without being under the jurisdiction of these people. We didn't need prisons, so whatever the fuck we need prisons for now, we can fix that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Prisons in America ain't 200 years old yet. Might not be 150. First prison was built in Pennsylvania.
First capital.
Then over there in Europe, they had dungeons. We have dungeons over here in our castle. We didn't lock no motherfucker up in the basement. That's some real cocky ass sadistic bullshit.
You know what that take me right back to is that show Lovecraft Country. Like we talk about that show every time I talk to you. But yeah, that, and then when you were talking about how they pitch your bloodline to basically steal your rights, and that's what that show was about too. And then even the first jails were them like them dungeons. It's so crazy how they put it back. They give us our history right back in our face and all of they outputs.
Look, if they can't guarantee your safety while you in prison, they're not supposed to keep you in prison. And guess what? They can't guarantee nobody in safety that's in there.
So how they gonna keep?
That's right there alone by itself is the forfeiture of their jurisdiction as the Department of Corrections.
No, they really can't. I mean, it's it's dangerous as hell in there.
Man, motherfuckers get stabbed, raped, beat the fuck up, kicked downstairs, bopped in the head with mop handles, all kind of shit. They can't keep you safe in there.
Not at all.
You come out that motherfucker looking like a pin cushion or a pinata.
And looking 20 years older than what you were or what you are.
Yeah, you supposed to come out of prison preserved, not motherfucking stressed the fuck out worse than you was in the street.
Right. I always shat on nobody for real.
So the question about the umbilical cord around the neck. Sometimes the baby is in the uterus is moving around, and they'll sometimes wrap the umbilical cord around the neck. So when they come out, it's wrapped around their neck from them moving in the uterus. Like I remember hearing my mom tell my father, "I'm jumping around in there like a monkey." When she was pregnant, because I was doing backflips off the side of the uterus. I was having a blast. Shit.
In the primordial water.
Yeah.
Appreciate the question, Spooky Bay. Okay. It's a good one. Let me see what this one's about.
Medusa was a Psi priestess. That's why her name is Medusa. Medu in Egypt is 10. 10 is the highest rank. Psi, look up the Psi symbol. It's the birth priestesses were Psi priestesses. So when they say Medusa, they're saying that she is the highest ranked of the Psi priestesses, which are known as the birth priestesses or the doulas. They were the Gorgon priestesses by tribal affiliation in Greece. That's what the Greeks referred to the three sisters as the Gorgons. And so Medusa is actually the leader of the Gorgon. Now we got to flip to the right side up to get to the right side of the infinity loop to ascend to the 5D.
Wow.
Right? So now we ascend to the 5D because I'm telling the motherfucker everything you need to know to get his shit straight. I don't care if they talk about me. That ain't got nothing to do with me. That's their personal problem.
That's right. That's facts.
If they really had a real issue, they'll pull the fuck up.